Hey guys, it's Vito Vengeance, and in this video I will be talking about the rest of Europe Tech Tree that will be coming sooner or later in World of Tanks. Probably a lot sooner than it would have come because of the War Thunder ground forces. Since that thing came out, Wargaming are giving us stuff quite faster than we were used to. So yes, I know Europe is written with a small e, but this is the design. All the letters in the second row are written with small letters only. Yeah, I'm very smart, I know. Okay, so basically what this tech tree is about is all the tanks from Europe that that saw action and that are not from nations that are currently in the game, like Germany, France, Britain, and so on. So this rest of Europe tech tree is from nations that didn't have so many tanks, and combined you could get a pretty cool tech tree. So this is the basic idea of this new thing that I hope will be coming pretty soon. I haven't seen any leaked pictures from any test servers, like alpha test servers from Wargaming, that show evidence of this tech tree being worked, but I'm pretty sure that until update 10.0, yes, I know that is a very long way, but I hope that we'll be getting this faster than that. Let's hope so. Okay, so now that you know, all of you, what the rest of Europe tech tree is about, I can't. What can I talk about tech tree other than the tanks in it? So yeah, there's my dog Tasha. Okay, so let's get started with the first tank, and we're kicking off with Finland, and this is the BT-42. And if you're wondering what happened if a KV-2 mated with a BT-2, where this is a BT-42, it's basically a BT-2 with a 114mm howitzer. And I think that gun, I'm not quite sure where you can have that gun in World of Tanks, but I'm pretty sure it's in for somewhere in the British tech tree. So this tank isn't got very good armor, it's a BT hull after all, and the turret isn't pretty well armored either. The armor ranges from 13mm to 6, and it's pretty quick, not so good traverse speed, but the gun is the main feature of this tank. So this is from Finland, and I took only one tank from every nation except Sweden, because they have a lot of tanks, and I hope I cover up pretty much the interesting spots, because there are a lot of tanks that are similar to tanks that are already in the game, and I want to highlight the more different ones. This is another picture of the BT-42. So let's get moving to Italy, and from Italy we have the Semovente 105-25, and this is considered by a lot of people that being one of the best armored vehicles made by Italy during the Second World War. It features of 75mm of frontal armor and the 105mm gun that supports 48 rounds. So basically it's some sort of Stug with a derp gun, and it has a 35 km/h top speed. So basically it's a kind of Stug that it's not as quick, but I think that it might be even a tier 4 vehicle like the Stug 3B that it's actually in the game. So we'll have to see about that. The BT-42 might be also a tier 3 or 4, it depends on how good the gun actually is, because after all we're talking about a tier 2 tank with a tier 4 gun, so it could be tier 3 or 4 equally. And the Semovente was a pretty used vehicle during the World War II, and yeah, it was made by Italy. And I'm just going really quickly through those tanks. You can just search them on Wikipedia. I have all the tank names that I'm talking about in the description of the video, and all you have to do is go and check them. But I check those tanks because those have a very high chance of being put into the game. This is why I chose them. I didn't just search random tanks, random Italian tanks, and choose one. Those tanks can actually be modeled. Not that they can be, but have a very high chance of being modeled because they were pretty imported and a lot of people know them. So from Italy we have this. Moving on, we have a Romanian tank, the Maresal, or in English Marshal, and this is a pretty light tank destroyer with a 75mm main cannon. There were 3 available guns on this tank. There was one 76mm, another 75mm beat by the Romanians, and a 122mm howitzer, which is probably like the howitzer you can get on the KV-1 or the T-150, you know, the little 122mm. This tank, as you can see, has pretty well sloped armor. At the front, however, the armor isn't pretty thick. It's about 20-30mm, so it's pretty well angled, but at that kind of thickness it won't be able to do a lot. However, this tank will have very good camo rating because it's really small, and the gun arc isn't that big, but it will be a very stealthy, fast tank destroyer that if it gets spotted it will probably die, but we have a lot of those kind of tank destroyers in the game, the new German Waffenträgers, and as you can see they are doing pretty well. So I also think that this vehicle is going to be pretty interesting. Moving on, we reach the Hungarians with the Turan I. This is a heavy tank. It has 50mm of armor all around. As you can see, the front of the tank looks very similar to a Panzer IV. I think actually this might be a Panzer IV hull. The main armament, it had 2 guns. First it used a 40mm Bofors gun, and because of the superior firepower of the Soviet tanks, the Hungarians upgraded this tank with a 75mm main cannon. It has a top speed of 47 km/h and a power to weight ratio of 14 horsepower per ton. It might be a pretty mobile heavy tank. As far as the top speed goes, the historical one, it should be pretty quick, but I don't really know how Wargaming is going to balance this tank into the game. But I trust they're going to do it pretty well. So another picture of the Turan from the side, and you can see that it has lots of spaced armor, those side skirts like the Panzer IV-H, also at the turret, as you can see. This is spaced armor. So yeah, the Turan III, and there were a couple of variants from this tank. For example, the 41M Turan, that's the Turan II actually, but they look pretty much the same. That is the tank that has the 75mm. The Turan one had the 40mm, so it would be a lot fair to say that this is the Turan tank. So moving on, we reach this Czechoslovakian tank. Sorry for mispronouncing the country's name. I chose this tank from a couple of others because I think this could be a pretty good how do you call it, those tier 2 tanks, seal clubbing. This I think can be a pretty good seal clubbing tank. As you're going to see, it's incredibly small. You can see it compared to those people. The armor, of course, on a tank like this, it's 12 millimeters at the front, 4 at the sides and rear, and the armament is there are 2 in fact, 7.92mm machine guns. Now if you'd think that because it has machine guns it would not be brought into the game, but let's think a second about the Panzer I, which has that Mauser gun that has also 7.92mm of caliber. So this tank can be something like a tank destroyer Panzer I. So very small, very stealthy, pretty quick, not that quick actually, 35 km/h, but pretty mobile. And so yeah, very stealthy, pretty mobile, not such a good gun, but at that low tier you can remember that the Panzer I gun is pretty devastating. When you are firing against those lower tiers, you're causing lots of criticals. A lot of times you kill off all the crew of an enemy tank, and it appears like they drowned because the tank is on normal terrain. There is no water nearby, and the tank just appears as dead, and the tank name is a little bit black. This is because the crew has died. So the tank might look like it's alive, but actually the crew isn't, so the tank isn't. So moving on, this picture is the best actually I could find about this tank. This is from Yugoslavia, the SO122 M4. This basically is an M4 Sherman with a 122mm gun. As you can see, the gun is fixed by this trapeze here. Yeah, that's not really trapeze because the trapeze has 3 legs. That's why it's called a trapeze. But as you can see, the gun is fixed. It has only 2 degrees of gun depression, and also probably the gun arc is almost 0. But it's an M4 with a IS gun, basically. So that could be interesting. And last but not least, we get to the Swedish tanks, and oh my god, I think this tank is going to be awesome. This is the Stridsvagn 103 prototype. This is the prototype from the so-called S-tank. It has 100mm of frontal armor, but just look at that angle. I mean, I think this tank is going to have such a great camouflage, and the armor at the front, if it's 100mm, this is basically an autobahn angle. And just from a different perspective, look at that. That is an autobahn angle. If you go into a hull down position where you can hide your lower plate with this tank, yeah, there is the commander's cupola. For those times when you can't penetrate the enemy tank, there is also a commander's cupola somewhere out there. The lower plate, as you can see, is not as well angled. You can see better in this picture. But with 100mm of armor at the front, the armor itself isn't that good, but with that angling, as I said before, it should be pretty hard to penetrate. However, it will be very easy for artillery. If an artillery hits at the front, the way the shell drops, it's probably going to penetrate into massive damage. So this tank has a 105mm rifle gun, a lot like how the FV202 has, for example. I think that has a 105, or the Leopard has a rifle gun. So you're looking at 390 average damage, or because the tank is rare, they might buff it to 440, 270, 280mm of penetration, probably very good camo rating, very mobile, 50 km top speed, 18.3 horsepower per ton ratio, so very mobile, pretty stealthy, good gun, fast firing, like an Object 263, but it has that terrific armor at the front. So basically, to overmatch it, you need 3 times the amount of armor, which means 300 millimeters, and there is no gun in the game that has that caliber. So basically, that armor, you don't have to angle it, it is just an auto bounce zone. The low roller plate, of course, is a lot easier to penetrate, but if you go hold down, yeah, go for the Commander's Cupola. The tank is not even in the game, but I start saying go for the Commander's Cupola. And last but not least, another tank from the Swedish, which I found pretty interesting, is the Infanterikanonvagn 72. It has a 105mm main gun, and I think it will be something like an SU 152, and it is pretty quick in a straight line, but as it looks, not so good traverse speed. But the special thing about this tank is the gun depression. Look at that. It's going to be like a Panzer SFL 5, the German tier 7 tank destroyer. So you will be able, and given the tank, the Panzer SFL hasn't got that good armor, but this tank has about 70mm or 80 at the front. So it, in theory, it's not that good. But as you can see, it's a little bit angled, and if you're showing the tank at that angle, you're probably going to get a couple of bounces, if of course this tank is going to be implemented in the game. So that was it about the rest of Europe Tech 3, the tanks that I covered. If you guys thought this video was interesting, you can post in the comments. If I get requests, I will try to talk about more about tanks that may be implemented. Those things that I talked about here, especially the Maresal, the Romanian one, the Turan, the Hungarian one, and that Semovente, the Italian one. Those are the ones with the highest chances of getting in the game. Also the Swedish one with the insane armor, Stridsvagn 103. A lot of people know that tank and love it. Well, they haven't played it, but the way it looks, I wish that tank was in the game. Everyone says I wish the tank was in the game, but they don't think about when they are trying to grind to the tank and they are meeting the tank on the battlefield and they are getting trolled by the upper plate. So this was it for you guys today. This has been Superheavy Vengeance. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it, and subscribe for more videos. Have an absolutely awesome day.